Like many others, I first encountered Wadjet Eye Games when they've helped produce and publish Gemini Rue back in 2011, but they've already had a following due to the incredibly charming Blackwell series of point-and-click adventures they've been making during the times when most people considered the genre dead. And while they have since collaborated with many other teams on publishing more exciting projects like Technobabylon or Resonance, it was my eventual playthrough of Blackwell games that got me truly interested in the studio work. Those titles had fantastic pacing, fresh approach to designing puzzles, really charming characters, and the more you played them, the more invested you got in the stories they told. After the eventual conclusion of Blackwell in 2014, I was curious as to what Dave Gilbert and his team would do next. Boy, was I in for a treat. Imagine a perfect marriage of all the best story and character-centric mechanics and ideas from story-driven RPGs and adventure games of old and recent years. Imagine the golden years BioWare making a point-and-click adventure game, but, well, on a lower budget. That's Unavowed for you. You have a team of companions with unique abilities, their own stories and personalities, background banter, and you can grab only some of those on missions that, as a result, will play out differently depending on who you have with you. In addition to that, you can also set a backstory for your own character that also influences the game events, and in addition to that, pretty much every mission can be played in different order and has some sort of decision, or several, that will influence the later events of the game. It's nuts how refreshing and new yet completely at home with point-and-click adventuring this feels, and how smart the approach to replayability is. While the game does have several endings and some choices can have a rather notable consequences for a story, the choices and variety are less about big end-goal changes and one-way paths, rather about how each story becomes ever so slightly but meaningfully different depending on how you play, and replaying the game and doing things differently helps appreciate just how different each playthrough can get. That is in many ways helped by solid writing and voice acting work, but it sometimes does border amateurish, just like Blackwell series. I found it feeling just right and endearing that I could look past that, and the game luckily starts on a great sequence that sucks you in, but I wouldn't be surprised if some people would find some scenes or moments a bit too silly for their liking to a degree that it can make them like the game less. What will most definitely grate on some people is that while most of the voice acting work feels fantastic, there are some blemishes here and there that remind you about how much lower budget this production is. Most notable of which are some lines for some characters that seemingly were recorded in a less than ideal recording environment, but perhaps that could be updated in the future with higher quality recordings. While Blackwell series needed to be played for a while to start truly appreciating them, Unavowed does all that and much more in a span of just one game. A game that manages to feel inventive and revolutionary despite not really revolutionizing anything. Instead, it simply knows how to tell stories really well, how to make adventure games fun, and how to channel the influences from other games to create something new, unique, and exciting.
Budget constraints. Yeah, I get that. But what about an emergency?
Emergency?
Yeah, like let's say some monster is about to rip the mayor's arm off. You're gonna take the subway?
Don't be foolish.
Yeah, the mayor would just grow a new arm.
Right. Wait, what?
It's a long story.